Hello. This meeting is being recorded. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Coffee Weekly. My name is Hendrick, and today we are here with...
I'm Sheldon, lads, and I'm drinking my coffee. How are you, Otto?
I'm very good. I'm drinking my water. Good morning, everyone, or good evening, or good day.
Hello, everybody. So I'm also here with my coffee, and today we have a spicy topic for you. We're gonna talk about side projects. My suggestion would be, let's talk about what side projects do we have, except of Coffee Weekly. And let's also maybe talk a little bit about why we do them, what gives us joy in them. And maybe Otto, you want to start? Like, what's your side projects? What do you do besides your 9-to-5 daily hustle?
That's a very interesting question. I would say there's not much things I don't do, and I wouldn't even say there is a main hustle that I have. So my life feels more like that my side gigs, my side projects have become my main topics that I think about, and what should be my main topic, my work, has to become a side thing. But that's also because I work part-time. I only work 4 days a week because I realized I don't really enjoy doing the same thing a lot. I feel best when I do at least 2 things at the same time, or when I have time, to reflect on the other thing that I'm not doing. So I would have like a daytime thing, which is working in IT, and I would have a nighttime hobby, which is now organizing events, which takes most of my time. But it's also a lot of things. What really means, what am I doing? I can enumerate a few things. So I put somewhere on my LinkedIn that I have a consultant agency that I'm referring people somewhere, but effectively I am just waiting until someone texts me like, hey, I heard you work for this company. Can you help me get in? And that's all I do. And that's basically one side project. Another side project is, obviously the Coffee Weekly podcast, which, we do every Thursday and prepare a little bit. Then I have my Some Collective, it's called. It's the group of people where we organize events, which is every 4 to 6 weeks, or a bit more or a bit less, depending on how people are available, which I would say of all side projects takes the most time. So one event is like a full-time week of work, plus the weeks before preparation. Then, of course, I have my work, which sometimes feels like a side project, but then I have 2 producers from Stockholm where I develop a concept with them to create some kind of concept party, so something that's similar to Circle or Boiler Room, but in a much more private manner. Something that we want to start later this year or end of this year with yesterday. That's, I think, the biggest thing I can mention top of my head. There's probably other things I would like to start, like producing music as well. I haven't been doing that a lot in the last few months, but that's something actually also yesterday evening I realized I should be doing that much more. So I will take some time actually today and dig deeper into that. And then, does going to the gym count as a side project? Is this a habit? Is it a thing that you do? That's something that I probably feel the most well about, but there's something also neglected quite a lot. But yeah, all in all, to summarize, I would say I don't have any side projects. I just have a lot of things I'm doing, and there's no separation for me between a main project and a side project. Pretty much, that's me. What about you, Sheldon?
What you just said got me thinking, like how we define what is a side project and what is not. And it's funny because all of the things that I consider a side project were just things that I was doing as well, and none of them were none of them I made with a second intention or with with an intention to professionalize or make it a business out of it. And I started doing things, and then when I get I feel that that activity has fulfilled my need, I give up or I let it go and start another one. And so with that mindset, I had a lot of different side jobs, side projects. Most of them are related to code because at the end of the day, it ends up turning out into an app or something. But when I look into my GitHub projects, most of them are just like side projects to learn something. So I was trying to learn, I don't know, IndexedDB, and then I created a library for it. I was learning how to build a project like with Webpack or the tool Rollup or the tools available. So I went there and create my own task runner, like similar to Gulp, for example. So things like this. I had like projects in a more abstract way. For example, for 2 years, I taught computers, how to use a computer to elderly people in Brazil. This was a project that lasted for 2 years. I was organizing conferences in Brazil, free and open source software conferences in Brazil. Here in Ireland, before the pandemic, I was organizing a meetup called Dublin CSS, which is a meetup about CSS. It's now on hold because I don't have a place to host, even though now everything is open in Ireland. The COVID restrictions were relaxed. We're still finding a place to run the meetup. So yeah, I think that my answer is more or less like Otto's. I have a lot of things that I do. None of them I consider a side project but I think that for me is more like because I face them more as a hobby, and yeah, it just happens. So how about you, Hendrick?
First, thanks for your input, guys. For me, it's a little bit different. So I would say I have like 2 side projects that I'm really concentrated on, and these side projects should become my main projects. Let's call it like that one day. And I have a little bit different approach. So actually, I try to create as much space in my life for these 2 things as possible. So to get it out of the way, like the 2 things that I do is music, of course. Like I have my YouTube channel, Constant Change, where I'm uploading my rap music, and also have an application in the Google Play Store right now, which is called Findus, which is like a newsreader. So yeah, I'm also in that concern different, that I want to monetize these projects one day if they are successful. I'm not like completely stuck to it. I'm always flexible to change if I see it appropriate. But yeah, like my approach is a little bit different there. So for example, with the coffee weekly, you guys noticed it. I was very suspicious that it's not gonna take too much of my time budget, because the day's short, it only has 24 hours and we have to prioritize. Because I made the experience in the past that you really need to focus. Like sometimes I think already 2 things are too much to focus on next to the daily job that you have, next to the sports, next to the social life that you have. So you already have to cut a bit off there to make time for that. For example, I was practicing the piano a little bit, but I noticed like with the time that I have available, it's too much. Like I prefer to not practice the piano, but to use that time for the things that are the most important for me. So it's a lot about prioritization there. Yeah, and like like content-wise, I also noticed like the 2 projects are stealing time from each other. So recently I've been doing a lot of music. So I just finished my album. Right now I already uploaded it to Spotify. For those who are interested, it's called Plan. It's about creating a business, building something up, escaping the 9 to 5. So a lot that we are also talking about right here. And like in that time where I was pushing the album through the finish line, I didn't code a lot. Like I did it like once or twice a week. And when I'm not making music, I'm like coding like 5 or 6 times a week on my app. So that's also a very interesting thought that I have on that. How do you manage your time, Otto?
If I may pick up 2 concepts you just talked about. So one concept is obviously time. So let me start with that correctly. So the way I see it is, you're very right that if you think about learning a skill like playing the piano or for me DJing, and I mean also one thing I do on the side, I just like play music basically every single day. I just play my synth or my DJ controllers or I don't know, the piano, something I wouldn't call a side project, but this is something that definitely takes 1 or 2 hours a day. But at the end of the day, the amount of time you put into something is very highly correlating to the success or to the quality or value, to the amount of output you can generate. For example, learning something, well, you can just quantize it. Like you need probably like 1,000 hours to learn playing an instrument in a way that you find acceptable. And as you say, like your day has 24 hours. You can, maybe you have free time. For example, I know I have quite some time slots where I do have time, but I'm just like, busy working, where I'm not really doing anything, but I'm very happy that I'm doing this right now. I would just be like sleeping and maybe looking on Slack and maybe checking my emails and not being productive, but having something concrete to do makes me productive. So that's very nice. But on the other side, when you have well planned out calendar schedule, yes, then you have to like cut away. Like maybe I sleep a little bit less, which I'm not really up for doing that very often. Or I work out faster, or I don't know, I take the car instead of going for a long walk, or which is also like you want to move. So it's always a question of priorities as well in the end. But as a matter of fact, for a project to succeed, you have to be very considerate about the amount of time that you want to have and be realistic about it. If you don't think you can spend like, let's say 1,000 hours over the next 3 months, you have to realize, okay, you might not achieve the goal you want to set. One thing, and the second concept you mentioned about was monetization. So it's very interesting. For nearly everything that I started doing, except my normal work at Spotify, where I get compensated exactly for what I do, I don't know in the beginning if I'm gonna monetize this or not. It's more the other way around. I just, take some time, throw it into it, and I see what happens. And if it goes well, if it's, first of all, is it a success? I mean, is it something that makes sense doing? Sometimes you might want to chase something, but it feels like running in a hamster wheel and you're like, this is like a waste of time, But if it's not, I see, okay, what is like the options? Like, is there even any way to monetize it? And if we do so, will it like reduce the quality? For example, I mean, I can talk about my events. I mean, I don't want to monetize my events in a way that it's supposed to be zero, non-profit. In reality, it's actually making a bit of minus, but I know if this is supposed to make money, if there's like a plus in the end, every single time and a bit more, this money could have been gone into more decoration, into more, I don't know, better DJs or something. So it's maybe that's something where I was like very curious before that I mean, the priority is higher. I don't want to sacrifice quality. If it does make money, sure thing. But now after like 7 events, I know, no, this is not gonna make money. Not the way I do it. Maybe there's a way to optimize it, but and then I know, like also with Coffee Weekly or with making music or DJing or my consultant agency, or I don't know, like many things I probably all forgot. I just do them, and then one day I'm like, does this make money? Should it make money? Do I want to make it money? Do I want to make it my work? Like, do I want this to pay my rent? Do I have to be like, you have to be productive now to pay your rent? Maybe I don't want that. Maybe I just want to, write this code. I'm like, okay, whatever, I can do that anytime. But maybe I can't be productive or like happily talking on a podcast if I'm forced to, so to say. So that's the two concepts. I think they're very, the cornerstones of any project, also side projects and main projects, but projects in general, time and monetization. Do you want to or do you not want to?
Yeah, I wanna get into the last topic that you mentioned, the monetization, because for me, I feel like it's a spectrum where you start here where something is just a hobby. Like for example, when I like to cook, so I go there and I get a recipe, I execute that recipe, and I create a dish out of it. So I went there, invested like 1-2 hours, was a hobby. Then it can become a side project if I invite my friends for a dinner. Like I serve them, I do like some chef stuff, and my kitchen for that night becomes like a mini restaurant. And I could create a side business out of it, where I could cook for people and sell the dishes, and then it becomes like a business. And as I went through the spectrum from hobby to a business, you see that the complexity grows, and also the investment, not only time investment, but investment on things like now I have to clean my kitchen because I have people entering the kitchen, or now I have to create a supply chain, because now I have a recurring expenditure of kitchen supply, and I need to fill this every regular basis. So it becomes a bit like now I have to go and find customers. I have to advertise, and then it becomes like this whole thing. Like imagine for Otto, Otto likes DJing, so he wants to go to a concert and just put his thing there and do like this, and boom, bye. Next week I see you. So this is
me. That's how I do
it. So this
that's
is
all you need to do.
Yeah. But then if you want to become a very professional DJ, you have to create a brand, build your image online, advertise yourself, go after customers, which is other parties, to for them to hire you. So there's this whole spectrum. So I think that's more or less where the difference is. For example, Hendrick's trying to create a business out of his side projects, and I am just having fun and trying to learn something.
I agree so much with you actually with the learning. I think whether you're successful or not, you're learning so much. I think also in my professional career as a software developer, I would not be in that position that I am right now if I wouldn't have my side projects. For example, especially about coding, in my day-to-day job, I'm usually stuck with the same technology, with the same scope. But in the side projects, you're always experiencing new issues, new areas that you need to learn. And I think that's super valuable. And usually you're doing it alone. So you're the one to solve it. You're the person responsible for it. And it's also super easy to start something and to drop something off again. Hey, this technology is fun. This is not fun. I want to dig deeper into this. And how does this work? Maybe you can do it better. And I think that's probably one of the greatest benefits that I see personally from the side projects, that especially in the early stages, if you want to monetize it, or all the time if you don't want to monetize it, there is so much learning that you can take. And you in the job, you can fall really hard. You have maybe customers who are reliant on it, or something else could break, or imagine you're working for the police or something, or in a hospital, and if something fucks up, there could be really people who are in danger because of that. But if you're doing some stuff in your side projects and you're just doing it for yourself, there's no harm. So it's falling onto a soft bed.
Yeah, it makes sense. I have a story around doing side projects for learning, and for a software engineer, it's very common to create a lot of side projects to learn a new technology or a new language or a new framework, etc. And I've introduced myself on the previous episode, but for who didn't listen, I'm from Brazil and I lived most of my life there. And I wanted to live abroad. So in order to apply for a job and get a working permit and live abroad, I wanted to go through the interview process. And one thing that I did is I created a lot of side projects, testing different technologies and different side projects, normal side projects that you see on Google, if you Google portfolio projects or whatnot. And some of them went really well. And a specific one was an app that I created to calculate. So in my college, in the university that I studied, you had 4 tests during a term, and depending on how well you went on the first tests, you didn't need to do the other ones. So there's a little math to do the calculation, and I created an app to do that and put it on the Google Play Store, and it went viral in the somebody discovered on the university, and it spread the word, and I had more than 1,000 downloads, which for just a small university was quite a lot, or at least for me was quite a lot. And every interview that I had, I mentioned that. And just the experience that I gained from publishing the app, leading, taking care of feedback, because like people went on the Play Store and left comments and stuff like this, helped me on the interview to get the job, which was the first job that brought me to Ireland. So yeah, like a little thing that started as like a curiosity, landed me a job. Like, well, it wasn't the main thing, but it certainly helped to land me a job here in Ireland.
I mean, that's a very, very great success story of how a side project does make a big change. I mean, this might have changed your life completely for, I mean, a reason you didn't really think about in the beginning, I'm going to do this, so I'm going to get this job there and there, but you just let it happen, and then it happened to you, basically.
Yeah, and I sorry to interrupt. I just remembered another cool story, which was similar to what we are doing right now. So about more than 10 years ago, a couple of friends of mine gathered with myself, and we created a podcast. Back then, it wasn't as technologic as today, but the episodes are still on air in Portuguese. And the podcasts we did like just to have fun, and eventually the people started listening to it. We sent emails like to friends to listen to the podcast, and we got some job opportunities and project opportunities out of the podcast. So people reached out to us for like freelancing, and actually like one of the jobs that I had was from a company that heard the podcast and decided to interview me, and I got the job. So nice. It was quite nice as well.
So everyone, side projects are good.
Yeah, I want to pick up where you left, Sheldon. Honestly, when I'm hiring for our team, so when I'm doing the technical interviews, I'm also taking a look strongly at what are the side projects that they do. If they have a very good GitHub and it has a project with a lot of stars, so it was helping a lot of people, that's a super big selling point. And I think that's also true for outside of IT. So for example, if I see someone is leading a team in a sports club, or he's a coach in a sports club, or he's engaged with helping elderly people, this just show, like you did, for example, Sheldon, with the computers. I think this shows just so much your soft skills. And also I can see how this person brings in this attitude also in our team. So he has proven already that he wants to help, that he gets his lazy ass up by himself and does something. Because, you know, like there is the people who just are so good for a team. And I think that's a very good sign in people that you can look for. And that's a very great like sign that you have good attributes.
But would you say it is somewhat mandatory for a person, you know, let's say you do an interview and you're like really on the edge. You're really like, I don't know what this candidate, like he seems to be good, but I'm not like 100% yes, but there's no reflex, 100% no, it's not either. How important would you say is that a person has side projects and the person is showing these side projects?
I think it's not a criteria not to take someone. It's just a very strong bonus. So I would not hire a good person, a good developer, if he doesn't present himself with side projects, or if he doesn't have any side projects at all. If you're doing great work, you're still doing great work.
Because I think that the most common mindset, at least from my perspective, I might be very wrong, is that the normal approach people take is, I want to, you know, succeed at my job, I want to study very well, is they go full hardcore, much effort into their main project, so to say. And the hope and obviously result is that you spend a lot of time with it, a lot of effort, you will kind of get far with it. And also for a long time, when I started working in IT, I was freelancing, I was working a lot, like different customers. And I mean, I was having a lot of fun, but my mindset was that if I do something on the side, it will be kind of bad because it takes time away from my main thing. So I did that for some time, and I was like, I mean, that's one thing. And also I was like, I don't want to have like my, you know, my hobbies and my work, because I want to really enjoy my work. So my work should be the best thing, so I don't work a single day and everything. So that was kind of the thought I had. And I was trying to find something that I was in some companies that I really enjoyed. And, but then I realized in the end that Actually, it was exactly the opposite. I really realized that when I didn't really focus on the main project only, but I let it go and I just let things come, I was much more like I was coming much further, and I was like much happier. I was like really doing like basic. I have my hobby, or I have my work, then I go home and I have my hobby. And I was always thinking this is a bad thing because you're like, you're not making your work your awesomeness life. But my interpretation of that, why it works so well, at least for me, is that I can fully focus in each time. I don't have to make sacrifices. Like, for example, if you have interest, like you need money, obviously. You have some things that are fun for you, and you want to learn something new. But maybe you can have all these three, but maybe just you can have one or two of these for each project or main project that you have. And I realized it's perfectly fine when I can fully dig into the fun part when I make music. I don't think about anything else. I don't care like if I'm running minus or I spend my time, I could spend somewhere else. But when working, I maybe sounds shitty, but I do enjoy it in some way. But I don't expect it to fulfill my creative side, like really discovering new music and being like, oh, this is really nice. I don't expect that from work in that sense. And by that, I can be both even more at the same time, other than when I try to do one in the middle. And there is no way to fully outlive your characteristics if the constellation is not allowing it. It's a very broad concept, but that's something that I realized. So that's what I'm doing now. So I just don't do the same thing for too long. I just alternate, and I do many things in parallel, and this happens to work for me very well.
I agree with alternating between things is a very healthy habit. It's also, if I would just be programming all day, I would go crazy. Or if I would just do music all day, I would be crazy and I would not be enjoying it. So having multiple things, I think, can really help you have fun at those things again. And they kind of complete each other in the way you do it. And also what I wanted to add, like, I really also respect if people don't have side projects at all. If they just go to work, but they're passionate at work, for example, and in the evening, they just do whatever they want because they literally deserved it. If they just want to go to the park and sit on the bench for 4 or 5 hours and just chat with friends or do nothing, or if they want to watch TV, then go for it.
That can be a side project.
It's your life. Yeah, you can argue about it. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, I was. You just kind of read my mind. I was about to say exactly that. If you don't want to do anything, it's fine. Like at the end of the day, you just want to relax. That's it as well. Sometimes I do I finish work, I just do nothing, or I just chat with my wife until it's time for bed, and that's it.
Nice. That's cool, man. Yeah. So I think it's time to wrap up. And I would be interested, like, let's summarize. What do the side projects that you have give to you? Like, let's make it a summary and let's take away the positive from what we have. So maybe Sheldon, you want to start and tell us?
Yeah. So for me, what I want to wrap up with is take it slow. I think that when you see people online, especially like on social media, Twitter, you see those people that do 35 things and have 5 kids and they give talks and they write books and they are this superstar. These people like just assume you're not them. You're not going to do that much. I assume this to myself and I create peace for myself. So I advise you to do the same and do things at your own pace, and then like start building up. So you start with something very simple just to have fun, and if you want to invest more time, then do it. But I think that for me the biggest takeaway is to stay curious and learn with the things that you're doing. And there is this very interesting thing on like we do need our lazy time, like time that you're not doing anything, for your brain to like organize the ideas. But it's very interesting when you spend time actually doing something. even if this something is not like it's not going to give you any reward, like financial reward or anything. So you're just doing for the sake of doing it. And I think that the human being has this necessity of like doing things. And I think that if you find ways to do things that you enjoy, you're going to be very happy. And just remember to not like do these expecting a very specific outcome. Just enjoy the journey and see how it goes. That's my mantra right now.
I can second that. Like if I would summarize it in two aspects, is one thing, give ideas a chance, even if they sound like stupid and nobody does it. And maybe if you know they will fail, maybe, as I say, maybe they just be good. Just try it out. Like give it maybe a bit more time. Put some effort, put some thoughts into it and see what happens. And second thing, don't expect anything. Quite the opposite. Observe. Really think about like, how do I feel doing this? And ask honest feedback. Ask your friends, what do you think about it? And yeah, it will probably, especially in the beginning, not always be nice. But what really matters is that you just try it out. And it can be a phase. You do it, you don't do it again. That's perfectly fine. But if you want to do something and you don't, just do it. Try it out.
Yeah. Okay, so my last sentence to this is just find something that fits you well, like as Otto also told. Also, you have to try out probably multiple things and find something that enhances your authentic self. So find something that suits your character and what you want to do with your life. And yeah, just get your ass up and start doing it. So
Very well
I
said.
think that's it. Then
Yeah.
I would say thanks for listening and have a nice day, everybody.
Thank you, everybody.
See you next week.
Bye.
Bye.